In this video, I'm talking about simplistic, oversimplistic thinking versus complexity thinking. And I will mention around 10, 11 points that I have already made video about. So I will not go to the details. I just make a kind of summary, and in this case I use a paper, and sometimes I will check it to not to miss anything for the main points. So one simplistic way of thinking is cause-effect, that is simplistic, compared to emergent thinking. So cause-effect thinking means that this one thing causes this one thing, and nothing causes anything, but the complexity thinking gives you the emergent theory. Emergence theory means that things exist because some elements, components interact with each other temporarily, and after that they don't interact with each other, that thing doesn't exist anymore, like life. Next, absolutist versus relativistic thinking. Absolutist thinking is simple because it's focusing only on the result, on just one point. Relativistic thinking is being aware that you compare something to somewhere. For example, if we talk about the car's speed is 60 km per hour, compared to what? And people just think, okay, 60 km, but no. Relativity means that you know that it's compared to the ground, to the road. But maybe compared to another car or a flying helicopter, it will be different. Next, one perspective versus multiple perspectives. So most people suffer from this single-minded opinion that, oh, the government is bad, or the government is good, or that person is stupid, or this, they should not do this, and so on, instead of thinking that there are many different perspectives, there are many other things, and it comes through the framework. So because you can have a framework to look at everything from multiple perspectives, and look at from my perspective, the other person's perspective, a third person's perspective, the system's perspective, and the idea is that there are infinite number of perspectives you can look at this, and I am right from my perspective, and you are right from your perspective. Okay. Next is the simplification of the truths and the lies, as compared to that there are conditions under which something is true, and for example, that it's true that the boiling point of water is 100 degrees Celsius. No, it's not true, because it depends on a lot of things about the elevation over the ocean, about the air pressure, about the minerals contents of the water, about the container that we use to boil the water, and so on. There is no absolute truth, there is always condition and assumptions, and it brings us to the mind that a lot of times a simplistic thinking that we forget that we have a mind. Now, for example, that, oh, I don't have time for this one. Of course you have time, but your mind has a priority that you prefer to choose something else. So instead of saying that when your child, hey, daddy, can you do this, help me? No, you are not important for me at this moment, because it's my mind. Or, oh, I must get up early because I have to go to work. No, you don't have to get up early, it's your choice. Nobody tells you, oh, I can't do this. Yeah, maybe you can't, but maybe you can. So a lot of times we forget about the mind, and sometimes we forget about other people's mind. So when you develop empathy and compassion, then you become more aware about other people's mind and not just about your mind. That's very narcissistic thinking that only you have a mind. So think about different minds' perspectives. Okay. When we model the world, we have very simplistic model, just one or two elements, or we have many elements. Of course, there is always infinite element that is come back to the cause effect and emergence theory, that, for example, why the stock market went up 1% today because the oil prices or there was this war started today and so on. Of course, it's much more complex. Okay. Comparison. Sometimes we compare something just to one thing. For example, oh, that person is rich, or that person has a better body. One is that don't compare things. If it's not serving you to improve, just feel bad or good. So don't use this for ego purpose, or don't use it to feel sorry for yourself. But if you have to compare the big picture. So let's say that you don't compare yourself to somebody because that person has a better salary, but you can look at the whole life. So use more elements when you compare, and you realize that yes, the other person has more money, but to make that money, he sacrifices health and relationships. So in those elements, that person is not so good. So maybe it feels better, but actually don't really compare yourself. Okay. The other is simple, let's say, tactical thinking, or not even thinking, and strategic thinking. So strategic thinking means the complexity that you use a longer term, because many times just people think in instant gratification that do I like it at this moment or don't like it, and then make a decision instead of what is the long-term benefit, will I like it in a long term or not, and also just focusing on one dimension, one things, for example the pleasure, or you focus on many things. Okay, pleasure, but also maybe what I'm doing make me cause disease or pregnancy, so maybe I should focus on many elements. So this is strategic thinking, many domain and longer time perspective, and also including not just me but maybe other people. That makes everything is a more complex thinking. Okay. Other is technique, focusing the simple technique that give me just the keyword, just tell me what shall I say, instead of improving skills, improving mindset, creating strategies and preparing yourself. But of course, it's much easier to just get one magic formula and that will solve my problem, instead of really changing my mindset, changing strategy, learning skills. Another one is most people thinking the obvious way about everyday things, even they watch movie, but it takes energy to go to think in the details, go to many small details and learn, see the patterns and go up at higher level in abstract thinking, and being able to see connection and creating things. So this is the most people are in the middle range, the comfortable, obvious, understanding, and that's why actually a lot of people have very poor comprehension skills, because they only in this comfort layer, they operate this comfort layer. And again, self, that I'm just simplifying my thinking for me, or I involve more and more people, my family, my friends, and my community, my company, where I work, the whole country and the whole world, and involve not just people but also, let's say, environment and animals and plants. So if I just litter something, how will it impact the environment, how will it impact people? So all of this that I mentioned, these 10, 11, 12 points, they require more complex thinking. And if you are interested in any of these topics, you can check out the videos that deal with this.